Starter Pokemon are kind of silly. Most of them aren't good in VGC, and I've actually covered this topic on the second channel. It's surprisingly the most popular video on there. If you haven't seen it, it's a great introduction to the second channel content. It's one of my favorite videos that Kurt has done personally. But we're trying to make some of these starters work, and today we're going to make Swampert work. If you guys enjoy and want to see more Swampert content like this, or just starter Pokemon in general, I'll cover a lot of them if you guys want to see them. Like and subscribe for more. And with that said, let's see how the starter Psyspam team does in competitive. Obviously though, we are using Swampert as our first Pokemon, with a Clear Millet Terra Fire set with Bulk Up, Liquidation, High Horsepower, and Protect. I figured this would be an interesting way to use Swampert since the dual stab combination is really good into most Pokemon here, and with Bulk Up we could turn this thing into a really terrifying Trick Room Sweeper. Terra Fire should help a lot with matchups like Rillaboom and also Torkoal. Since Torkoal could in theory go for Solar Beam, it's not that common, but it does sometimes run it. And overall, this helps us with a very unique option in the tier, as once we start bulking up, a lot of the physical threats that would potentially pressure us do kind of fold. And with Trick Room up, we have a very nice way around Landorus, both for the incarnate form if it goes for the Terra Poison with High Horsepower, and pre-Terra Poison with Liquidation. So this is great around like the one reliable counter in the tier to it, especially with our Trick Room matchup. Moving on, we have Incineroar, and similar to with the team from yesterday with Trapinch, Incineroar's goal here is going to be kind of just to fake that we are going to bring it. Though it's not as useless as the Tatsugiri was, for what it's worth. The Incineroar actually does have a few matchups where this can be brought against teams that typically would be Psyspam opponents with the Iron Crown. This is a really good mon. But otherwise, if it's not Psyspam, I typically don't bring Incineroar. There's really rare situations I will. But overall though, this Incineroar with Parting Shot and Lariat and Flare Blitz is a great support piece, and Fake Out's just a nice option if Psyspam isn't up, or if I just need it to just kind of terrain control against a flying type Pokemon that doesn't have Covert Cloak. And overall, it just proves to be a very annoying Pokemon for my opponent. Up next, we do have Ivy Cudgel Ogerpon with the Cornerstone form this time. Figure Cornerpon could be nice at just clearing through potential mons like Ogerpon Hearthflame. And not only this, but the Rock Stab is just really good in general with Swampert, as it's great for clearing through things like Terra Flying Landorus, and really just a lot of Pokemon that could, in theory, maybe go for like Terra Flying, or I don't know. The Rock Grass typing coverage with Water Ground for my Swampert just kind of fits well. I didn't really need a Water Pond or a Fire Pond, or Teal Pond was kind of considered for what it's worth, but again, I just like the more unique coverage from Ivy Cudgel here. And overall, it just proves to be kind of like a nice final Gambit piece to set up Trick Room with, and it's one of our two Pokemon that can definitely be a really good partner for my and DD for later on. And overall, I can also follow me into this and just kind of seek a kill if my opponent needs to kill me to let Swampert or Hatterene in, which, speaking of, our next Pokemon is going to be Hatterene. It's a Terra Fire Life Orb Hatterene with Expanding Force, Dazzling Gleam, Trick Room, and Protect. This is another backroom Trick Room setter in case my DD does die, and with Psychic Terrain up, this thing kind of just mauls through opponents. It's great at clearing through a lot of the poison types in the tier that just, well, not really a lot of the poison types, but it's great at clearing through things like Urshifu forms. Expanding Force also is just a great move to click in Psychic Terrain. There's not a lot of good steals in the format outside of Iron Crown and Archaludon, and then I guess Goldango's making a resurgence, but still, it's just those three, and all three fold to a lot of our other Pokemon on the team, such as Incineroar and Swampert. So we're kind of fine with that. Also, Gleam is just great at clearing through things like Dragon types that might resist my stabs on my Fire Water Grass core, and overall just a great partner. Also, it gets around a Mungus Spore, which is a really big deal for Trick Room teams. Up next, I've already kind of spoiled this is on the team, but we have an Indeedee with a nice Rocky Helmet moveset. This should be great at drawing in a lot of Pokemon like Rillaboom and Urshifu that might potentially put a lot of pressure on my Swampert. Especially pre-Terra, that could be a really big deal, and with Dazzling Gleam, Fallen Bee, Helping Hand, and Trick Room, this proves to be a very invaluable support piece. I have Terra Grass to not only help defensively with the mons that would most concern Swampert, but it's also really nice to avoid Spore and Amoonguss and other powder moves, especially if I'm trying to Helping Hand boost. So that should help. Well, actually, a Helping Hand would go after, but it's still just nice to try and make sure that the Pokemon I'm Helping Hand boosting will hit their intended target. And overall, it just proves to be a very nice check-all kind of Pokemon. Finally on the team, we have a Sneasler with Terra Stellar. This proves to be an incredible offensive piece with Unburdened Psychic Seed being a really great lead instead of Corner Pond if I don't really feel like leading Corner Pond. With Dire Claw, Lash Out, and Close Combat as offensive moves, this proves to be an actual nightmare offensively, and with the 172 speed from our Adamant Max speed, we prove to actually tie Hisui Lilligant, which is nice in case we fight a Sun team. Hisui Lilligant is not the most common Pokemon, but there's not really another relevant speed tier I need on this, outside of maybe creeping like, I don't know, maybe Fluttermane creeping Landorus, I guess, if it's going to be on a Tailwind team, and that's really about it. Like, there's not really a lot of other relevant speed tiers, and this kind of hit about what I needed anyway. The team is going to be on screen as well as the paste in the description below in case you want to try it yourselves, and with that said, let's get right into today's matches. All right, we're here today with our Swampert team. Now, I can't lie, this was probably the biggest surprise when I did all my testing. This realistically was kind of an obnoxious Pokemon in terms of the ladder, and I'm hoping that we can show it off today. My opponent has a very interesting team. I do actually think it is very Swampert fodder, but I can get into that as the specifics come up. Things like, for example, Sinister, though, Terra Fire around it, that's pretty much handled. Blood Moon hopefully will not be in the same field at the same time as that. My lead here, it's pretty simple. Against most of these teams, I go with Corner Pawn on lead or Sneasler on lead. I think that in this particular case, that Corner Pawn has a slightly better matchup, actually, than the Sneasler, so we're going to bench Sneasler for now. It will get a time to show off. We're going to go with Swampert, and then Final Mon is going to be hot. Incineroar here is kind of just like a bench warmer, really, in all honesty. It's similar to when we ran the Trapinch team yesterday, how I have Tatsugiri to kind of just fake that I'm bringing Dozergiri. This is kind of just a fake that I have fake out pressure, and just that I can intimidate you in theory. It has, unlike the Tatsugiri, it has actually come up at times. It's not often, but it has come up at times. There have been a few matchups where the dark typing in Trick Room actually has been pretty valuable against certain archetypes like Psyspam, but I really only bring it for Psyspam, and that's about it. My opponent's going to bring Thundurus and Chi-Yu lead. Now, this is definitely pretty terrifying, actually. Chi-Yu will put up a lot of pressure. This might actually be a problem. However, I can definitely target the Thundurus at minimum, or I can target the Chi-Yu. I think either way, I get some nice merit out of this. I'm going to target the Thundurus because, actually, So I guess I need to make a call now. Is Chi-Yu Scarf or not? Because if Chi-Yu is Scarf, my play should always be to target Chi-Yu. Actually, hold on. Does Indeedee take this hit? We can take the time to calc that really quickly. Let me double check. So, does Indeedee take this hit? Indeedee female versus Chi-Yu. Okay, so Chi-Yu actually doesn't deal a lot of damage. Never mind. Chi-Yu actually guarantees the kill. Fuck it. I need to target the Chi-Yu. And if Chi-Yu ends up being Scarfed, that's fine. We'll go for Trick Room here. I'm gonna kind of hope. I cannot afford to burn a Terra, to be fair. So that's Scarf Chi-Yu. Okay, that's unfortunate. Not a great way to open up the match, I can't lie, but it could be worse. It could be worse. We're gonna still make this work, though, in all honesty. Even without the Trick Room, this team is actually pretty terrifying, and I feel confident that we can still make it pull off very confidently. So the Thundurus at least will break my Focus Sash, but that's fine. We know that we also outpace it because there's Scarf on Chi-Yu, which is all really good information. They crit us, a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll go for the Hatterene here. Hatterene can still set its own Trick Room, actually, so we're not entirely screwed yet. And I can also just play this without Trick Room if need be. Like, that might be a play. It might be a viable play. Okay, so they're going to bring in Blood Moon or Saluna. This is kind of fine. I just have to target the Thundurus this turn because the Thundurus is kind of the threat. If they're going to target my Ogerpon, I'm okay with that. Because any turn that they would target Ogerpon means that they're not going to kill my Indeedee, my Hatterene, because there's no world where they kill both. There is absolutely no world where Thundurus specifically kills both. They'll have the defensive Terra Thundurus to actually get around this, and even if they do, I'm not concerned with it. They're going to Terra the Thundurus. That's fine. It's going to be Terra Water. Okay. I guess that's fine. They'll be able to survive a hit. That means they'll get a Wild Bolt off and probably like a Blood Moon. They're still going to take a ton of damage from this Ivy Cudgel, though. And I could still, in all honesty... Oh, yep. Okay, so that just kills. Perfect. Okay. High crit move doing high crit things. I'm not going to complain at all about that. I can't lie, though. That had a big impact, to say the least. But I'm not going to complain about it. They'll Blood Moon here. Yeah, they're really confident they can stop Trick Room. And even Blood Moon. Okay, yeah, that didn't kill. So, yeah, the crit helped a lot, for sure. I'll take it, though. Corner Pawn is doing some very nice Quarter Pawn things. I'm not even going to have to touch the field of Swampert at this point, which, I mean, honestly, that's kind of how a lot of these games have went. I either don't have Swampert touch the field at all because it's just not necessary, or Swampert gets, like, 5 KOs. There's no real in between there. This is kind of fine, though. I'm going to go for a Follow Me. Am I going to go for Follow Me here? I kind of like... No, I can kind of just go for Ivy Cudgel here. If this Mon takes a hit, I may as well just go for the Dragonite, and then I can go for the Expanding Force here and just get good damage off. Expanding Force will land. This should probably deal a ton of damage. I do think that we probably lose the Pokemon, unfortunately, but it's still fine. Meanwhile, my opponent is going to go for Hyper Voice here. That will probably kill... Ooh, that didn't actually kill. I'm kind of shocked by that. This is still okay. I'm not really too concerned here, personally, because I think that the Swampert can still confidently get past this combination of Pokemon. It won't be pretty, but we can technically do it. Maybe I should have, in all honesty, went for just a not Trick Room and just went for Expanding Force. That could have been probably better in hindsight. But it is what it is. It's still perfectly fine. We're gonna go for a Protect this turn. This is mostly to get around the Blood Moon that is inevitably coming my way this turn. And then I can go for a Bulk Up after that, and then try and... Well, I'll probably actually go for like a Liquidation here. So there's a few other things that this play does kind of benefit me with. It's also nice to potentially proc Outrage Confusion on Dragonite, which would be ideal. If I don't get it this turn, it's not a huge deal. Like, it's not going to game lose me or anything. Yeah, okay, so we didn't get it. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We'll just liquidate into the Blood Moon, and then I kind of just have to hope that I can bully the Dragonite here, which just means I need to force a Confusion turn. Not the worst position to be in, but it's definitely not great. I mean, they might forfeit thinking I have Ice Punch, to be fair. That could technically be a thing. They'll go for Outrage, though. That's going to deal a lot. Yeah, that actually just kills. Okay, that's fine. Good game to my opponent. We'll get a good one in game 2. I still feel confident. I think, honestly, I just kind of misplayed, was all. I should have just went for Expanding Force, but it is what it is. We'll see you guys in game number 2, though. All right, moving on to game number 2. This is definitely much more of a Sneasler sort of match. Indeedee Sneasler on lead is really good here, and then I can go with Hatterene, and then Swampert actually with Terrafire will go kind of nuts in this match. The only check to it is Urshifu, but the thing is though is that the Urshifus typically do lead against this team for some reason, which is really nice, I can't lie, because it just means that the Swampert should kind of have a field day in the end game. So I'm kind of okay with that, because once Shifu drops, which this lead should put up enough pressure to where at minimum Shifu isn't in a good position, and then we're kind of set. Even if they clear through my second terrain, Indeedee kind of just needs to spam Fairy Move here, more so than anything. Like, the only check to Fairy Move on this team is Entei, which I'm not really too scared of Entei. And all I need my Terrain Force to proc Psychic Seed on my Sneasler, which then just kind of goes for Terra Stellar if I wanted to, depending on their lead. It's either going to be Stellar Terra, and I'll go for, like, Helping Hand immediately, or I'll go for Trick Room plus Dire Claw and just let Sneasler go down. It's going to really depend on what they lead off with, because if they go with, like, a Torn Shifu lead, I do kind of need to respect the possibility of Scarfoo plus Tailwind there. So I'll just go for like a Dire Claw into the, most likely into the Urshifu, just to wear it down, and then go for a Trick Room, because I think that'll get me slightly better mileage. But again, frankly, they have a lot of options they could do with this, so I'll just need to be kind of careful. It depends on their lead though. I think their lead will telegraph my entire game plan from turn 1, so we'll just need to see what they end up going for. But good luck and fun to my opponent regardless. I feel very confident that we can get a win with this. This match in particular, I feel very nice for the Swampert game plan in particular. They're gonna go for Torn Shifu. Okay, Torn Shifu is fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna Dire Claw the Sneasel with the Sneasler into the Urshifu, and then I'll go for a Trick Room here. The Trick Room is mostly just because I'm anticipating Torn Tailwind, especially with me leading Sneasler. It's more meant to be the suicide lead here, so we'll let it go down, and that should hopefully be pretty good for us. So we'll get a nice Trick Room up this turn. And then I'm going to go for a Dire Claw into that Urshifu spot, because that will be very free for us. I'm anticipating most likely if they brought Rillaboom for them to switch into it on the following turn. Like, not this turn in particular. I think they'll let us have terrain for this one turn. But I think once we get up Trick Room, they're going to switch into the Rillaboom here. And I'm kind of okay with that, because I can still make the terrain that they have work to my advantage, since it'll be nice recovery for my Clear Amulet Swampert. And that will overall just be really beneficial to us. So they're probably going to Terra Water on the Urshifu here, mostly just because it's higher damage output. Oh, they're actually going to switch out Urshifu. That's interesting, but it does work out kind of well if they go into Rillaboom here, because then they'll give up their terrain option, which is huge for us, as I can regain terrain advantage pretty comfortably against their team. So they are going to go into Rillaboom. That is perfect, and they're going to go for Taunt. Now Taunt is kind of fine, because I'm switching out Indeedee anyway, so I can actually just go right into Hatterene and then go back into my Indeedee. Ooh, okay. Oh, we get a Poison. Okay, Poison's kind of huge. I can't lie. Because Poison means that they will actually now probably die in the following turn, which is great. So yeah, I'm going to go into Hatterene. Hatterene's not the most important mon. I could have probably brought Incineroar in all honesty. This is not a terrible Incineroar game, but I didn't really like it around Rapid Foo. Regardless though, they're probably going to honestly go for a Fake Out, which kind of works out well. And then I can meanwhile go for... I could go for Stellar. I could also go for Protect here. I think this is turning into like a fast mode route, which I'm kind of fine with. We'll just switch out though for now, and then we'll reset my terrain later on, because that should hopefully be decent. They'll probably have to switch out of Rillaboom, which is good. Even if they don't, I'm kind of fine with that though. They're going to, what's their game plan? It's probably Fake Out and Bleak Wind? Yeah, they're going to go for Fake Out, Bleak Wind. Okay. Yeah, they're trying to get rid of the Sneasler, which makes total sense here in all honesty. I can definitely make this work to my advantage though, because I can just proceed to go right into Indeedee. And then, well, actually, I don't even need to go into Indeedee. I could honestly just get up a Trick Room with Hatterene this turn. And Hatterene Trick Room would work out pretty well. Yeah, I could actually make that work very well. Because if they're going to try and kill my Sneasler, that's fine. And yeah, Rillaboom will live for exactly one more turn, which is perfect. They could switch it out. I don't really care. I'll go for a Dazzling. Well, actually, no, yeah, I'm going to go for Trick Room this turn, because Trick Room gets me a nice field advantage at this point. And then, what's their switch in? So if they're trying to switch around Dire Claw, they don't actually have a switch in. They have no switch in on this team. Because any mon that would be a check to Poison would not want to switch into this move. So I go for the kill into Rillaboom, because it shows that it can get the kill into my hat, and I don't really want to let that happen. Okay, so Torn now has to go for Bleakwind here, which even if Torn does go for the Bleakwind, I've now traded my Hatterene for their for their Rillaboom, which means I'll have terrain advantage the rest of the game, which is more useful for things like the, okay, yeah, we're going to dodge with Hatterene. That's actually huge. That's really bad for them. But yeah, it's more useful, if anything, for things like, for example, the Chien-Pao getting around Sucker Punches, which is really good. So I'm kind of okay with this. We'll most likely, so if they go into Rillaboom here, my play is to go for Expanding Force plus switch into Hatterene, and switch into Indeedee. If they go into Chien-Pao, though, my play is to sack Sneasler and then to go for a Protect this turn, just because, actually, I could also just sack Sneasler, yeah, sack Sneasler and go for Protect, because I want to try and break Chien-Pao Focus Sash would be the goal there. So I'm gonna just go for that, yeah. Actually, I'll probably target Torn instead. I feel like targeting Torn is better. Okay, yep, they're gonna go into Rapid Fu. So my play is just to go for Expanding Force here into the Urshifu, and then switch hard into Indeedee. Indeedee should comfortably chew any Torn hit, and if they go for my Indeedee with the Urshifu, thinking that they'll just kill with Bleakwind on my Hatterene spot, then that's great, because they're going to take Rocky Helmet damage, and that, in case if they somehow survive the Expanding Force, will be extremely beneficial for us. They might just go for Detect as well. Yep, they're going to go for Detect. Okay, so be it. Not really a huge deal. Because even with Hatterene dead, my goal is more so to try and set up for Swampert, which should actually benefit a lot from this sort of matchup. I also don't need to Terra Fire my Swampert anymore, which is great, because that should help a lot with this matchup. Okay, so Indeedee does not, well, Hatterene unfortunately does not get the kill. That's still fine though, because I can actually probably just go right into my, Swampert, get a nice kill with the Liquidation into the Torn, and then I can go for Terra Grass and follow me and draw in that Urshifu really quickly. So we'll actually do that. Yeah, I think that works out well. Terra Grass should hopefully help with just taking this hit, and then follow me, just because, again, Urshifu, even if it does go for Terra Water, is still going to deal negligible damage, and I can then probably just start racking up Rocky Helmet while I kill it off really quickly, which should be a better win con, actually, than setting up Terra with Swampert. And then Swampert now kind of walls everything else on the team because we've killed their one good check to it offensively. So this is looking like a really good endgame for us, actually. I don't think they can beat us, because at this point, even if, let's say, for example, that Torn dies, they only have two Pokemon that could possibly outpace my Sneasler. And if they have either of them, they both kind of lose to Swampert at this point. So I'm kind of okay with that. They're going to Terra into the Urshifu. That's perfect. That is very perfect. They're Terra Water. That's great, because that means they're leaning into Surging Strike's damage, because there's no other reason you click Terra Water here, which is great because Indeedee will still chew that very comfortably. Follow Me is going to proc, and then I'm just going to Liquidate into the Tornadus. And then I'll follow me, kill this Urshifu really quickly. They're trying to taunt. Unfortunate. Unfortunate as fuck. Liquidation will kill the Torn. I mean, Torn was always going to die here, to be fair. I wouldn't call it a misplay necessarily, because Torn had no out. They're Rocky Helmet, which is actually interesting, though. You don't usually see, well, usually on ladder, you don't see Rocky Helmet. It's much more of like a Tor thing. But that's great, because they're going to now get caught by the same thing that I just got caught with, which is huge. Yep, okay, so Urshifu takes a considerable amount from this. They're going to have to take at least one more set of Rocky Helmet, and that implies that their last mon is Chien-Pao. Because if it's not Chien-Pao, then they're going to probably have to take two more sets, unfortunately, for them, not for me. So I'll definitely take that. That works out really well for us, actually. They're going to most likely, I'm actually kind of curious what they'll go into next. Probably Pao, I feel like. It's Fluttermane, actually. Okay, Fluttermane is interesting. So my play here should just be to Liquidate in the Fluttermane spot. And then I'll go for Dazzling Gleam. Do I actually go for that? I'm kind of curious if I go for that. I have a bit of time to check that. Fluttermane versus Swampert. So I'm kind of curious. My Swampert's Adamant. Yeah, let's... Well, it's Brave, to be fair, but still. Liquidation. Ooh, that does, like, no damage. Holy shit. Okay. So I think my play is still to do that, in all honesty. And then we'll just go for the Dazzling Gleam here. Yeah, we'll go for Dazzling Gleam. Just because that'll be some nice damage on Urshifu. If they're not bulky Fluttermane, they should still deal a lot. Yeah, that still does a lot. Okay, so they're very frail Fluttermane. Yeah, I was overcompensating for the fact that they were probably going to be bulky Fluttermane, which I don't know why I was so hung up on that, but I'll take it. They're going for my... Oh, no, they're going for Indeedee. Why are they going for Indeedee? They know I'm Rocky Helmet. Why are they making that play? That's such a bad play. Because they could have killed that with, like, a Gleam, for example. But now their Swampert is, like, basically fodder, which I'm very okay with that. The Swampert, the Urshifu being fodder is very good for me. And then Fluttermane will probably not kill my Swampert this turn, so that all works out very well. they're going to lose the Urshifu this turn, and Fluttermane can't kill both my Pokemon. There's not a world where it kills both my Pokemon, actually, which is very good for me. They're going to probably go for Gleam if their choice. No, they're going to go for Moonblast here. Okay, so that probably means that they're not choiced, which is good to know. I can just Liquidate again. And realistically, so if they're not choiced, then they're probably going to go for Protect here. Because at that point, their out would be to hope that they can win off of that. Otherwise, though, they lose the game if they're choiced, because they can't beat the Swampert. Okay, yep, so they were probably choiced. That's why they forfeit. Great, we're 1-1. Swampert did a good job that game. Not what I was expecting, though, because Swampert usually rails a lot harder than that when it does come to matches. So we'll try and get one more match in so you guys can see the power of this Clear Amulet Swampert. Alright, for our final match of the day, we're taking on a team consisting of Comfey, Heatran, Thundurus, Raging Bolt, Iron Leaves, and Fluttermane. I actually saw this one recently on VGC Pace, so it should be a pretty interesting one. I kind of know the line. I know it's like an electric terrain Thundurus, and probably like a Rising Voltage on the Raging Bolt here. So we'll need to be a bit careful here. But thankfully, though, I do actually think that this is a really good lead for probably... I feel like Indeedee Sneasler does a really good job leading here. I could probably actually go for like a really fast mode on this particular team. Go with Swampert and Corner Pawn in particular. I'm not really huge on Psyspam, because I do think they actually can muscle it really well with things like Keytran, for example, which completely walls my Hatterene, on top of the fact that they also have a very easy way to reset terrain with consistency with that Thundurus, which isn't the best, and I really only need it just to activate my Sneasler early on and just get early momentum going, which should be pretty manageable, since before they actually target my Sneasler with their Thundurus, they have to go for something like, for example, Electric Surge, Electric Train. So that works out really well for us, thankfully. So I think I can actually manage to get around this pretty confidently, but it will definitely be a little bit of an uphill battle, though it's far from impossible in my opinion. They're going to go with Thundurus and Iron Leaves, so this means that they're definitely trying to get that booster off really quickly. I can probably just go for something like, I could probably just go for a Follow Me, in all honesty. And then, yeah, I could probably go for like a Follow Me and a Stellar Terra. They're most likely going to go for, actually, hold on. I don't know if I like that. Actually, I can do that. I can definitely do that. Follow Me. And then we're going to go for Dire Claw here. I'll go for Stellar Terra Dire Claw into the Thundurus, actually. No, I'll go for it into the Iron Leaves, yeah. I can go for it into the Iron Leaves. That should be fine. Because the goal here is mostly... Actually, no, I'll go for Stellar Terra Lash Out. Yeah, I think Stellar Terra Lash Out should be a bit better. I know that we can't potentially status this, but I do want to save my poison typing for something like the Raging Bolt, for example. If I need to go for Dire Claw into that, or even the Thundurus could be a really nice candidate for that, and I can close combat the Raging Bolt. I was thinking initially that I was going to go for Terra Fire Pert, but in hindsight, I think it's just a better call to not Terra the Pert, since I do have the benefit still of going for the... Well, one, keeping my typing for Raging Bolt, which will be great, since they are going for the Electric Terrain route, which is huge. But also just in general, I mean, that Water Ground typing is really good against every Pokemon here, besides the Iron Leaves. So I'm just going to completely massacre it as quickly as possible, and thankfully they're letting me do it. So Lash Out is going to pop here, and that should hopefully be a really strong attack with the Stellar Terra. It probably won't kill, but it's going to be close, and then yeah, Rocky Helmet range will easily pick that off. They're going to go for Psyblade here, that's fine. It's still a resistance in Indeedee, and that's a 3 KO right there. And meanwhile, Iron Leaves dies. That's the biggest threat to our Swampert, gone turn 1. So already this is looking pretty good. The Stellar Terra Sneasler, this is a great opener for it, as it's a great grass type killer. It's not exactly Tornadus, but you know, it still fits the bill, and I think it fits the team a little bit better personally. Perfect, Heatran's in. Now I can honestly probably just do the same thing. I'll go for Helping Hand, and then I'll go for a close combat here. And we're gonna eviscerate the fuck out of that Heatran. Perfect, they don't go for Terra. That means that's a dead Heatran right there. And even, I mean, I will say, if this ends up being the last match that we do of the day, even if we brought Swampert, Swampert would kind of, well, even if Swampert touched the field, I should say, Swampert would have kind of just done the same thing from this point in the match, where we just go for bulk up spam until we win. So I'm not really too concerned personally. They didn't have a great matchup once the Iron Leaves died into that Mon. They're probably going to go for Wild Bolt here, which, yeah, that's going to deal a lot of damage, but thankfully they cannot kill. And I can kind of just start claiming lives. I mean, this Sneasler really does go fucking hard. It's truly like the best partner for my Raging Bolt, in my opinion. Not my Raging Bolt, my Swampert. And perfect. Yeah, they're going to go for Booster. They will go for the, they will definitely go for the Rising Voltage here. My goal should just be to try and weaken this as much as possible. So we are going to go for a Helping Hand here into the Sneasler. I'm kind of fine letting my other mons die. let's see. So I have Corner Pawn and Swampert in the back. I can just nail the Thunderous really quickly, actually. They're probably going to go for Scary Face into me if I had to guess, which if they do, it's a little unfortunate. But it's either they're going to go for Scary Face or they're going to kill both my Mons, and I can't really play around either. Oh, perfect. They went for like the worst play they could have. So they're trying to seek the kill with the Raging Bolt, which is fair. Honestly, that's really fair. Raging Bolt is a really good mon against my team. But thankfully with the... Ooh, that actually didn't kill. Okay, that's a little concerning. It's still not the worst thing in the world, actually, because thankfully Thunderous couldn't kill my Sneasler for some reason. So this is looking pretty good. Thankfully that mon is a floater, and that means it's not going to deal a lot. We will go into Swampert, though. Swampert should be able to chew confidently any sort of Raging Bolt hit. And I could probably actually just go for Protect plus kill the Thunderous here. This way, I can make sure that I'm in as good a position as possible when the Corner Pawn comes in. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Dire Claw just right into Thundy. If they kill my Sneasler here, so be it. I still have Sturdy Pawn in the back. And Sturdy Pawn will be a great partner for my pert. Once Sturdy Pawn comes in, the game is over, because I can get a position where Sturdy Pawn Swampert is out, and that's probably a lot better for me than having Sneasler pert. Not that it's a bad route for us, but I do think that I benefit a little bit more from having a sturdy Pokemon like an Ivy Cudgel, Ivy Cudgel, Ivy Cudgel while I go for Horsepower in a 3v1 scenario. They're going to go for the Swampert. Okay, that's perfect. I wonder if they were trying to do that in case of because their Raging Bolt's like a really slow set. Oh, nope, they're just going for Thunderclap. That's totally fair. This is perfectly fine, though. I mean, this is a great scenario to be in. Unfortunately, we couldn't... Well, actually, no, this works out really well, because they're probably going to make that play again then and try and go for like a Draco Meteor, which means I can just dual target that Raging Bolt really quickly, which works out very nicely. Yeah, I can just make that work. Actually, no, I should probably go for the Thunderous just to be sure, because that mon could actually break a Sturdy if I let it live another turn. And if they're going for Scary Face, most likely it's to ensure a Draco Meteor at this point, which they might repeat again. And thankfully it's going to fail because of my Clear Amulet. But I shouldn't then ignore Thunderous because it's doing nothing this turn, since if my Swampert does die, since that mon is a booster special attack set, I can't really be good for the rest of the match. They're actually going to go for my Ogre Pawn. Now, Ogre Pawn is interesting. They are going to go for Draco. That's fine. My Swampert does barely take that, actually, which is good. My Corner Pawn also is going to keep it sturdy, which is great. And then I can go for Ivy Cudgel plus High Horsepower on the following turn. Whatever Pokemon survives will get another hit in. And then I mean, Corner Pawn should be fine here. Oh my god. Oh, for a second. Holy shit. This game has done that all day today, where pretty much every match I have played, that, like, any move that can miss has taken a really long time to hit. Like, a suspiciously long time to hit. A suspenseful amount of time to hit. And it's been really ruining my mood. Thankfully, we managed to win, though, and we ended the video on a solid pert game. Like this is the pert game I'm talking about, where this team can just completely dominate a lot of matchups against really good teams. So if you want to try it yourselves, I mean, it's no Sizzle or Rain. That team was kind of like an anomaly, in all honesty, but it's a really good team. And I encourage you all to try it out if you are interested in using Swampert. And if you enjoy it and want to see more content like this, leave a like on the video and subscribe for more. Shout out to our channel members who, for just a couple $1 a month, you get some nice bonus content. We currently have a video that just went live as of the time of you. Actually, no, it's going to go live on the upcoming Sunday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Our current channel members are Seek, Mia, Rasakura, Obo, Endless Gadgets, Josh JK Ultra Player, and Incog M. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really means a lot, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Until then, peace out, guys.